Previously on The Lion Prince, Rise of the Forgotten Heir, the land of Dunbar faced its darkest night. Under the orders of the wicked dark sorcerer Malgar, the Wraiths, black spirits born from evil magic, stormed the peaceful village without warning. They cut down every form of resistance. Warriors tried to fight, mothers tried to protect their children, elders prayed for mercy. But the Wraiths showed none. Their blades passed through flesh like shadows, their screams froze hearts, and their green eyes glowed like curses in the night. Houses burned, families cried, and hope seemed to crumble like dust. When the smoke cleared, only a few survivors remained, mostly women, children, and a handful of weak men. The Wraiths chained them in heavy iron, dragging them away as helpless slaves for Malgar's dark castle. No food, no water, no rest. Only endless marching through forests, hills, and dry lands, where whips cracked through the air. But while Dunbar fell into darkness, a new light was climbing the mountains. Far away, Prince Leo, the forgotten heir of Zamuna, rode through the high, snowy mountains with his loyal companions, Arya, Elder Damos, General Cade, Tariq, and Boma. Their mission was clear and dangerous. Reach the ancient temple of the lion spirit god. Inside the temple rested the Sword of Light, the only weapon strong enough to kill the Wraiths and stop Malgar's spreading evil. Without it, the kingdom would fall. With it, hope could rise again. Snow fell softly as they rode higher, but in the shadows, something else moved. For in his dark castle, Malgar stood before his twisted, glowing demonic mirror. His voice hissed with magic as he chanted ancient spells. Slowly the mirror cleared and revealed Leo and his companions climbing toward the sacred temple. Malgar's eyes widened. "He lives," he growled, "and he seeks the Sword of Light." His rage shook the whole. "Wraiths, ride to the mountains! Stop him! Destroy the forgotten heir before he awakens the light." The Wraiths rose like a storm of black smoke, racing across the land. Darkness was moving, light was rising, and the greatest battle of destiny was about to begin. The journey to Malgar's dark castle was a nightmare that refused to end. The Wraiths dragged the captured villagers of Dunbar through rough forest paths, steep rocky hills, and dry desert lands where the sun burned like flames. Their ankles were chained, their wrists bruised. No food, no water, no rest. Only endless marching through forests, hills, and dry lands where whips cracked through the air. But Mara, though tired beyond words, refused to give up. She held the hands of two frightened children and pushed others forward when they stumbled. "Stay close, don't fall, we will survive this." But the road was merciless. Each time someone collapsed, the Wraiths punished them with fiery dark whips that tore both skin and spirit. Their cruel screams echoed through the trees. After days that felt like years, the prisoners reached Malgar's castle, a monstrous black fortress with towers sharp enough to pierce the clouds. The castle walls were covered in strange glowing runes, breathing with dark magic. Inside the gates, horror lived openly. Slaves from many villages worked with shaking hands under the watch of Malgar's twisted servants. Pale, thin creatures with long fingers and sharp smiles. Some slaves carried heavy stones. Others cleaned blood from iron floors. Many were locked in cages waiting for Malgar's experiments, strange, painful trials meant to strengthen his dark powers. The twisted servants clapped and laughed when they saw the new prisoners. "Fresh ones," they shouted cruelly. "More bodies for our master." The villagers were pushed down stone steps into the cold, wet prison chambers beneath the castle. Chains rattled. Doors slammed shut. The darkness swallowed their hope. In another part of the castle, the head of the Wraiths entered Malgar's throne room. "The village of Dunbar is destroyed, master," he hissed. Malgar's eyes narrowed. "And the prince? Where is Leo?" The wraith hesitated. He was not there. Malgar's roar shook the hall. "You fool! You have failed me!" The wraith begged for mercy, trembling like smoke in the wind. "Master, let us hunt him again. Allow us to track him down." "You will, but on my command." He stormed into his inner chamber and stood before the demonic mirror. Dark magic rolled off his fingers as he spoke ancient spells. The mirror swirled with smoke and fire, and then showed Leo and his companions climbing toward the temple of the lion spirit god. Malgar's smile twisted. "So, the boy seeks the sword of light." He summoned the wraiths with a thunderous command. "Ride to the mountains. Destroy him before the light rises." The wraiths rushed out like a black storm.
Back in the prison, Mara sat beside a crying little girl, trying to calm her. Beside them sat a woman named Elena, a prisoner who had been there long before Mara. Elena's voice trembled as she spoke. "My village was called Balin," she began softly. "We were known for our cocoa trees and cotton fields. Soldiers of Ragnar controlled everything. They forced us to harvest day and night, giving us almost nothing to eat or drink." She looked down, shaking. "If someone failed to meet the quota, they were tied to the trees and flogged until they passed out." Mara's eyes softened. "I'm so sorry." "There was one day," Elena continued, "when news reached us, news that Prince Leo had returned, that he defeated Ragnar's soldiers at Dunbar. For the first time in years, we felt hope." The other prisoners leaned closer. "That night, we gathered our courage. We rose up, we fought, and for a moment, just a moment, we won. The soldiers ran, we danced, we believed freedom had finally come." Her voice broke. "But at dawn, Ragnar sent reinforcements, stronger, crueler. They stormed into our village. They killed many, burned our farms, and chained the survivors, including me." Tears glowed in her eyes. "They dragged us for days. Some died on the way. And when we reached Malgar's castle, we realized we had stepped into a place far worse than anything we could have imagined." Mara squeezed her hand tightly. "Elena, one day we will be free. Leo is alive. Hope is still alive." The prisoners sat together in the darkness, shivering but united, unaware that far away the prince who carried their hope was stepping closer to his destiny. The journey of light and shadow had only just begun. The wind in the high mountains was cold enough to bite the skin, but Prince Leo and his companions pushed forward, climbing higher and higher through the deep snow. Their breath formed clouds in the freezing air. The sky above them was a pale gray, quiet and heavy, as if watching their every step. Then, at last, the mountain path opened, and the group stopped in awe. Before them stood the temple of the lion spirit god. It was a breathtaking sight, a golden temple carved deep into the side of the mountain, so large and ancient that it felt like part of the mountain itself. Glowing runes covered its walls, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. 2 gigantic lion statues guarded the entrance, their stone manes flowing like real hair caught in an endless wind. Their eyes glowed softly with warm golden light, as if they were alive. Arya gasped, "It's beautiful." Tariq lowered his bow in respect. "I've never seen something so grand." Elder Damos stepped forward, his eyes shining with ancient memory. "My prince, this temple belongs to the oldest spirit of our kingdom. Only one of royal blood may enter. Inside are the 3 sacred trials, tests of the heart, the mind, and the strength of the true king." General Cade rested his hand on Leo's shoulder. "We trust you. All of Zamuna trusts you. Arya's voice was soft but full of worry. "Leo, please be careful. The temple does not only test the body, it tests the soul." Leo looked at her, then at the great golden gates. Snowflakes fell around him like tiny sparks of light. "I will return," he said gently, "and I will bring the sword of light." As he stepped forward, the eyes of the lion statues blazed brighter. The ground shook with a deep rumble. Then, with a sound like thunder rolling across the world, the golden gates slowly opened. A blinding light burst out, surrounding Leo in warm golden flames. His companions shielded their eyes as the light swallowed him whole. And then, just as quickly, the light vanished. Leo was gone. Inside the temple, the air glowed with golden mist. Symbols of lions, suns, and crowns shone on every wall. The floor rippled like water under his feet, alive with ancient magic. Leo walked deeper, his heart beating fast, from fear, from wonder, and from destiny. Then the mist ahead shifted. A radiant lion made of pure light and fire stepped forward. Its mane blazed like the sun, its eyes deep and wise like the heavens. The temple trembled with its voice. "Leo, blood of Aiden, if your heart is pure, you will find the light you seek." Leo bowed his head. "I am ready." The lion spirit lifted its glowing head. "Then your trials begin now." And so began the 3 sacred trials, the first steps towards the birth of a true king. The golden light inside the temple shifted as Leo stepped deeper into the sacred hall. The air felt warm and alive, whispering like ancient voices hidden inside the walls. The lion spirit stood tall before him, its mane blazing like fire. "Your journey begins with the trial of the heart," the spirit said. Suddenly, the walls around Leo melted into mist, and visions rose like spirits from smoke. He saw his father, King Aiden, falling in battle. He saw his mother's gentle smile fading into darkness. He saw Dunbar burning, the wraiths destroying innocent lives. He heard the cries of people calling his name for help. Leo grabbed his chest as pain washed over him. The guilt he carried felt like a heavy stone pressing on his heart.
The spirit spoke softly. "My child, you carry sorrow, you carry guilt, but a true king turns pain into strength. Let your heart release its burden, or you will be lost." Leo closed his eyes. Tears rolled down his cheeks. "I will not forget my people," he whispered, "but I will use my pain to protect them, not punish myself." As soon as he said those words, the visions faded. The hall brightened with warm golden light. The first trial was complete. The spirit nodded. Now, the trial of wisdom. The ground rippled like water. From a glowing pool rose a giant spirit turtle with ancient eyes and a shell carved with shimmering runes. It said, "Prince of Zamuna, answer these riddles, and wisdom will guide your steps." It asked, "What grows stronger when shared, but disappears when hidden?" Leo breathed deeply. "Hope." The turtle's eyes glowed. "What can fill a room but takes no space?" Leo smiled. "Light." The turtle leaned forward, studying him closely. "What walks with kings, comforts the poor, but dies the moment pride is born?" Leo answered softly, "Humility." The turtle bowed its head. "You have chosen well. The path is open." The glowing pool transformed into a golden pathway leading into the final hall. Before entering, Leo paused and turned to the audience. "Yes, you watching the story." "My friend," he said with a warm smile, If you are enjoying this journey, remember to subscribe to African Folktales with Oni so you never miss an adventure. Now, let us continue. The temple darkened as he stepped into the final chamber. The air trembled. A giant shadow rose from the mist, a warrior made of living stone with molten fire glowing through its veins. In its hands it held a massive hammer forged from pure magma and earth. When it moved, the entire temple shook. Its voice thundered through the hall. "Prince Leo, face the trial of strength." Leo drew his sword, his heart hammered in his chest, but he stood tall. The guardian roared and charged. The first strike came like lightning. Leo blocked it, but the force knocked him back several steps. Sparks of fire and golden light burst across the hall. He rolled to the side just as the hammer smashed the ground, leaving a deep hole in the stone floor. Leo swung his sword at the guardian's leg. Nothing, not even a scratch. The giant turned and swung again. Boom! This time, the hammer smashed into Leo's side. The impact threw him across the hall, crashing him into a stone pillar. Pain exploded through his body. His sword slipped from his hands, sliding far across the floor. The guardian marched towards him, each step shaking the ground. Leo gasped for breath. His arms trembled, his vision blurred. For a moment, he felt like a lost child again. I can't win," he whispered. The guardian raised its hammer for the final strike. Then, in the middle of the roaring flames and trembling ground, Leo heard a voice, calm, warm, strong. A true lion does not fight to destroy, he fights to protect. Leo's eyes widened. It was his father, King Aiden's voice echoing through his heart. A surge of warmth filled his chest. Golden light spread across his skin like fire waking from sleep. His eyes glowed with the light of destiny. Leo pushed himself up. "I will not forget my people," he whispered.
In one swift movement, he rolled aside as the hammer struck the ground, sending cracks across the hall. He sprinted, dove forward and grabbed his sword. The blade hummed, then burst into bright golden fire. The guardian roared and swung again. Leo charged. Their weapons collided, stone against divine light, filling the hall with an explosion of sparks, dust, and roaring energy. Leo moved faster now, guided by the power of the lion spirit within him. He dodged a blow, leapt onto a cracked pillar, and launched himself through the air. With a powerful cry, he swung his sword across the guardian's chest. Crack! Golden light tore through the stone body. The guardian staggered, roared, and fell to one knee. Cracks of glowing gold spread across its entire form. With one final burst of light, the giant shattered into a shower of glowing dust. Silence followed. The dust swirled together, forming a magnificent lion-shaped spirit with a blazing mane, the lion spirit god. Its voice filled the chamber like a warm wind. "Prince Leo, you have proven your heart, your wisdom, and your strength. You are worthy." Before Leo, the swirling dust formed a glowing blade, the sword of light. It floated gently, humming like a heartbeat. Leo knelt. "I accept this gift, not for power, but for my people." The moment his hand touched the sword, a beam of golden light erupted through the roof of the temple, shooting straight into the heavens. Divine armor of blazing gold formed around Leo's body, a shining crown, a glowing breastplate, and a cloak like the rising sun. A new king had risen. The forgotten heir had been awakened. Snow fell quietly over the mountain, covering the ground in a soft white blanket as Leo's companions waited outside the temple. The wind was calm, too calm. Tariq, the sharp-eyed archer, scanned the mountain path. Suddenly, his eyes widened. A thick, swirling, dark mist rushed towards them, crawling up the path like a rising storm. "Tariq?" Arya asked. Tariq's voice sharpened. "Wraiths! They're coming!" The mist twisted and formed into galloping figures, the wraiths, led by the terrifying head wraith, its green eyes blazing with dark fire. Tariq instantly positioned himself, raising his bow. Whoosh! His first arrow shot straight into a wraith's chest. Whoosh! Second arrow, third, fourth, fifth. He fired faster and faster, his hands moving like lightning. Every arrow hit perfectly, yet none of the wraiths fell. They kept riding, screeching, their ghostly horses pounding through the snow. The others prepared for battle. Elder Deimos stepped forward, slammed his staff on the ground, and shouted ancient spells. A massive wave of light magic exploded across the ground. Boom! It hit the wraiths hard, throwing several off their horses. Arya didn't waste a second. Blue flames glowed on her hands. "Spirit fire, rise!" She shot bolt after bolt of blue magic fire, each blast slamming into a wraith and knocking it down. The remaining wraiths staggered. Arya pressed her palm to the snowy ground, chanting in the old magical tongue. The earth shook. Ice burst upward. The fallen wraiths froze instantly, their twisted forms trapped beneath thick mountain ice. For a moment, everyone breathed out. "It's over," Boma said. But he was wrong. A sickening green glow began shining inside the ice. Crack! 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 The ice shattered as dark magic melted it from the inside. The wraiths reformed, crawling back to their feet, their bodies twisting into shape again. They charged. Elder Deimos raised his staff and shot several bolts of pure light, blasting many of them backwards, but more kept coming. General Cade stepped forward, sword drawn. As a seasoned veteran, he struck first. He slashed one wraith, it screamed and vanished. Another attacked, he blocked and cut it down. Boma joined him, delivering heavy blows, cutting down a wraith, then another. But the head wraith reached Cade. Their blades clashed violently, clang, clang, clang. Cade dodged the head wraith's deadly strikes, countering with strong blows of his own. He struck the wraith's chest, sparks flew, but the creature did not fall. The wraith tackled Cade to the ground. It lifted its dark blade high. Arya reacted instantly. Blue flame burst! A huge wave of blue fire exploded from her palm, blasting the head wraith off Cade and sending it sliding across the snow. Tariq fired 2 arrows. Whoosh! He hit one wraith in the chest, then pierced the head of another. They fell, but began reforming again. Elder Deimos raised his staff high, chanting louder. A wave of light roared forward. Boom! It threw several wraiths away like shadows in a storm. But then
3 wraith archers appeared on a cliff and fired dark arrows toward the group. Zip! 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 Elder Deimos slammed his staff down. A glowing shield of light formed around the group, blocking every arrow. The wraiths gathered again, ready to attack from all sides. Arya, Cade, Boma, Tariq, and Elder Deimos stood together, breathing heavily but refusing to step back. The wraiths screamed, they charged, and then a burst of golden light exploded from the temple gates. The snow lit up like day. The mountain trembled. A glowing figure stepped out. The golden burst of light pouring from the temple gates grew brighter and brighter until everyone had to shield their eyes. Snow swelled in circles around the entrance as if the mountain itself was bowing. Then a figure stepped out. Leo. He stood tall in his shining divine armor, the sword of light blazing like a sun in his hand. His eyes glowed with courage and destiny. The wraiths froze for a single heartbeat, then screamed in terror. Leo moved first. In the blink of an eye, he dashed forward. Slash! He cut down the first wraith, its body busting apart into glowing ashes that scattered into the snow. Another wraith charged. Flash! Leo sliced it cleanly, and it evaporated with a shriek. A third, a fourth, a fifth.
Leo cut through each one so quickly that the others barely had time to scream. His golden blade left trails of light in the air as he moved, striking with the speed of lightning. Arya noticed wraith archers forming on a rocky cliff. Their dark arrows were ready to fire. She raised her hands. Frozen wind! A blast of icy blue magic shot upward, knocking all three off their feet. They hit the snow hard, struggling to rise. Leo leaped forward. Slash! He cut down the first archer. Slash! The second vanished into ashes. Slash! The third screamed and evaporated. Only one enemy remained. The head wraith stepped forward, its dark sword burning with rotten green fire. Leo faced it without fear. They clashed. Clang! Golden sparks burst into the air. Clang! Dark smoke swirled around them as their blades collided again and again. The head wraith swung low. Leo blocked. It struck high. Leo dodged. It attacked fiercely. Leo pushed back harder. Then, with a powerful roar, Leo swung the sword of light and struck the head wraith directly in the chest. The head wraith screamed. Cracks of golden fire spread across its body. Its dark form burst open, and it evaporated into the mountain wind. The battle was over. Arya ran to Leo and hugged him tightly, tears in her eyes. "We thought we had lost you," she whispered. General Cade knelt with respect. "My prince, the resistance army awaits your command." Leo nodded firmly. "Then let them rise. We go to war." Cade quickly took a piece of parchment and wrote a letter. He sealed it with Leo's royal crest and tied it to a black raven. "Fly," he whispered. The raven soared into the sky, wings cutting through the cold wind as it flew across snowy mountains toward the resistance camp. Far away, in a large tent filled with maps and battle plans, the top commanders of the Old Kingdom gathered. A soldier rushed in, carrying the raven. The lead general opened the letter, read Leo's message, and smiled with fierce pride. "Men," he said, rising to his feet, "prepare for war. The true king has returned."
The wind howled softly as Leo and his companions rode down the snowy mountain path. Their horses moved steadily, leaving long trails in the fresh snow. The world around them was cold and quiet, but the sword of light in Leo's hand glowed warmly, lighting their way like a guiding star. Arya looked at him with pride. "You carry the hope of our people now," she said softly. Leo nodded, but his eyes were fixed on the far horizon, where the shadows grew darker. "We will free every last prisoner," he said. "Malgar's darkness ends now." Behind him rode General Cade, Tariq, Boma, and Elder Demos. Their faces were serious, but hope burned in their eyes. After years of hiding, running, and losing everything, they were finally marching toward victory. Far away, inside the dark castle, Malgar stood before his demonic mirror. The glass swirled with black smoke until it cleared, showing Leo riding down the mountain with the sword of light shining in his hands. Malgar's face twisted with pure rage. "He has destroyed my wraiths," he hissed. "He has survived the temple trials. He dares march toward my castle." The castle shook from the power of his anger. Malgar swept out of the chamber and marched into the great war hall. Torches flickered wildly as he entered. There, standing in the shadows, was one of Ragnar's most feared commanders, a tall man in heavy black armor, his eyes cold and merciless. His name was Commander Borin, known across the land for his ruthless skill. Malgar pointed a sharp finger at him. "Gather Ragnar's army. Defend the castle with your lives." Commander Borin bowed with a cruel smile. "At once, master." Moments later, the ground outside the castle shook as thousands of soldiers marched into formation. Their armor clanged, their shields locked into walls of steel, and their war horns echoed across the land. Archers climbed the battlements, spearmen formed tight lines. The dark banners of Ragnar rose high above the fortress. The castle was preparing for war.
The resistance warriors rose to their feet. Some tightened their armor, others sharpened their spears. All of them stood tall as the generals shouted, "Prepare for battle!" War drums echoed through the valley. Back on the Snorri Road, Leo and his companions rode onward. Snowflakes danced around them, glowing as they reflected the sword of light's shining golden aura. Elder Deimos whispered, "Two armies move toward the same destiny, and the future of Zamuna will be decided soon." Leo raised his sword toward the dark horizon. "For my people," he said, "for my kingdom, for the light." And together they continued their march toward Malgar's castle, toward the final battle that would shake the world. End of Part 5. War begins. And so, brave listener, the march toward destiny has begun. Prince Leo rides with the sword of light shining in his hands. Malgar gathers his dark forces. The resistance army prepares for battle. And deep inside the dark castle, thousands of soldiers wait for war. What will happen when these mighty forces finally clash? Will Leo's new power be enough to face Malgar and Ragnar's army? Or is a deeper, darker secret waiting in the shadows of the castle? To find out, you must join us for Part 6, the most mysterious, the most explosive, the most mind-blowing chapter yet. But before you go, make sure you subscribe to African Folktales with Oni. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. And tell us in the comments, what have you learned from Leo's journey so far? Your comments, your likes, and your support help this family grow and help African stories shine across the world. While you wait for Part 5, don't leave yet. Watch the next recommended story on this channel. It is filled with magic, courage, danger, and strong lessons, and you will enjoy every second of it. Thank you for joining us on this adventure. The Kingdom of Zamuna awaits your return, and the story continues.